And welcome back to the video. Today in this session, we're going to discuss about Python. So what is Python? Python is a programming language. Uh, so it's just like any other programming. It was released in back in 1991. So it can be used for web development, software development, and a lot of other system scripting and other data engineering stuff. So Python is very strong because it's got a lot of libraries around. A lot of it's an open source language, so there are a bigger, like a wider community which contributes a lot of different libraries on a daily basis, which helps us to learn Python much more, like use Python much more efficiently. So let's jump to the part of Python. We will discuss about the data types of Python because data types are the most critical part of Python because you need to, I, I mean, when it comes to data and other things, you need to use a lot of different types of data types. So what is data types? So data types are something, but it's a what do you call it? Like the data is stored in different variables. So So when you want to store something in variables, those variables have to have some kind of types for storing this data. So we will discuss about different data types which Python supports. So we have something called text type. So text types are string. Uh, Strings are nothing but it can hold data which is textual format. There are numerical data types, which is int, float, complex. Then there is something called sequence types, which is list, tuple, range. Mapping type is something called dictionary. There is something called set types, which is set and frozen set. There is something called a Boolean type. Boolean is nothing but just like true, false. All these things are Booleans. And there are binary types, which are something called bytes, byte array, memory view. So we'll just start with the string. So what is a string? So here, as I discussed, string is it can be anything, any kind of values inside a double quotes is considered string. So here I'm going to run this. So you see whatever values which I have typed in, it's a string. So the type of this is a string. You can see it is. So when you use a when you assign some values to a variable, and this value to variable is you can check it out if it's a string or an integer using the function called type. So you see the type is the function and it got a bracket. So inside the bracket you are passing the variable. So now let's see what is a integer. So we can try. So here I am using a 5. I'm assigning a 5 to this x, and I'm just printing it out as 5. So here I'm going to see what is the type. It shows int. So this is about int. So int is just a number. Then comes to the float. So float is again, it's just some numbers, but when it comes to a float, it got a dot. So there's a float. The type is float. So that's about float. Then about um, complex. Complex is something like it doesn't, you don't have to give a double quotes. And let's say here it is like 1 and j. So usually when you don't give a double quote, and if you're giving a j, it doesn't identify it as anything, right? So let's see what's going to happen if I give this. It's going to throw an error. So if you're giving a, if unless you're giving a number, it has to be in double quotes, right? So here you're giving 1 and j. So 1 and j, when it gives, you see the it actually accepts it. Otherwise, it doesn't accept. So the type is a complex. So that's about the complex. When you see the difference between a complex and string. Now let's discuss about a list. A list is not is a place where list is a kind of variable where you can actually store multiple values. So these strings can be stored in a square bracket. So I can add anything here. I can even add numbers here. I can add float. I can add boolean. So it still remains as a list. And if I have to print it, just prints. So this is about list. Let's discuss about tuple. The tuple is something against like just like a list, but the bracket is a normal bracket. The other one is a square bracket. So again, tuple also can hold multiple values, like anything you can hold it. So let's see what it prints. So this is about a tuple. So now let's discuss about range. So range is something like a number, a range of numbers. So here we give us 6, and if I print x, see what it's going to print. So 0 and 6, range is just printing 0 and 6. So I can even give 1, comma 6. See 1, comma 6. So let's say if I range, I can use it in multiple ways. So let's say uh, I can take a length of it, take it as a range. So range is something which is quite useful when it comes to doing for loops and other stuff, which we will discuss later. So we'll discuss about dictionary. So this is actually a dictionary. So how does a dictionary looks like? Dictionary will have something like a key value. So this is a key and it's a value. So something like key value. So I have to check the type. It's a dictionary. And if I want to print it, just see the value. What is it? Okay, this is about dictionary. So now let's see how does a set works. So this is something called a set. So the difference between a dictionary and a set, dictionary actually have key value, whereas set is just like a pretty much like a list. If I have to see the difference, it's. I mean, I have not checked out the difference as such. Oh, between set and just see what is the difference between set and list. Okay, I think there is something. So when I use a set will automatically remove duplicates, whereas list will not. So set is more like an ordered collection, and it's actually have a sequence. It prints in a sequence. Set contains no pair of elements. At most one. Okay, the main difference between list and set is that list allows duplicates, while set doesn't allow duplicates. List is an ordered collection. It maintains the insertion order, which means upon displaying the list, content will display the elements in the same order in which they got inserted in the list. whereas in the set, it will automatically rearrange it. So you can see that in this particular set, I have used Rahul test1, test2, whereas it automatically rearranges it. That's the main difference between a set and a list. Then there is something called frozen list. And yeah, so basically you are using a frozen keyword. Uh, so then there is something called Boolean. So, so Boolean is like true, false. So you can use a true, you can use false. So when I use Boolean, it automatically takes the value. It doesn't, it's not a string, it's a Boolean. So Boolean, you can see the difference, it's in green in color, whereas if I give some other value, it's not really considered as a keyword. So it's a keyword. So it's something like a keyword, it picks it as a keyword. Okay, that's it for now about the data types. In the later videos, we'll discuss more about assigning variables and other different part of it.